My first question, Brent, as you have a lot of experience with advertising, what is your
Mhm.
advertising strategy today? What is that approach that you follow in order to be successful?
Yeah, and let me just put it to the team too, because I do some advertising management at Pathfinder, but the vast majority of it is done by the team. And so the
Sure.
kind of discussions that we have as a group and the culture that we try to perpetuate at Pathfinder is ultimately what determines how people manage their accounts, right? So I would say in 2024, our focus continues to be around relevance and conversion for selecting the right terms in order to maintain metrics to keep Amazon happy. Because Amazon continues to have an algorithm and a set of let's call it operating principles, which is basically, what have you done for me recently? So how do you continue to keep the volleyball in the air by making sure that you're always feeding it with relevant search terms and targets, and in some cases with display advertising, categories, such that you're putting the right people in front of the listings. Because if you're sending lots of irrelevant or let's just call it like junk traffic. If you're sending the wrong people and the wrong keywords to the listings, you're going to be harming your conversion rate, harming your share in the marketplace. And you don't want to do that, because what we're trying to do with ads ultimately is stimulate and stoke the organic rank. Our job is to serve as like a support. Ideally, if I could have it my way, our advertising sales would make up like 1/3 of all the sales that our clients get through their accounts, and then that 2/3 would be organic, and they would be positioned prominently for certain keywords. They would be at the top of their category. They'd have lots of badges from Amazon for Amazon's choice. That's like an ideal scenario. So we're always trying to shoot for that. We see advertising, however important, as still being a kind of supporting actor in the play that is Amazon, with organic still being the main thing there. That also means part of our strategy high would be looking at the percentage of sales coming from ads, coming from organic. And if one of those gets too heavy, specifically the ad side, we try to like dial that back in. We try to figure out what we need to do to make sure that the client is going to do better organically and we're not over relying on advertising. So it's this constant kind of like line to walk between the two. But that's our strategy. The reality is, and this is like another key thing to keep in mind for all of our clients, any client that we work with has off Amazon channels too now. And in many cases, those channels are growing. It might not be by a bunch, but they are growing a couple percentage points every quarter, every year. And so the question for them starts to become, if you're a savvy business owner, well, where do I put my advertising budget? And the right answer is not always into Amazon or into Amazon DSP or into a new Amazon effort that they're pushing right now. Like display advertising and video has been very hot, the past like year and a half. So for them, it's like, well, actually, we might put it into TikTok or we might put it into Meta. And Amazon understands that they're in a larger picture struggle with these other ad platforms for their ad dollars. And I think they make a very compelling case. If you're a business that's got a large amount of sales going through Amazon, you should probably be investing heavily in the ecosystem. But the reality is, for our clients, we sometimes say maybe you should spend that money with email marketing, or maybe you should even send physical cards to clients. There's some companies out there that do that now, which is very interesting because it's kind of like a throwback. But $10,000, 10,000 euro, pound, whatever, you have to think from a business owner perspective. If you're an agency, where would I intelligently put this, and then advise them towards that level. That's another piece that I think is important these days, because we do not exist in a vacuum on Amazon. It felt like we did for a long time, but we don't in reality. So sorry if that answer meandered a little bit, but this is the reality that we face in 2024.
No, I mean, just to summarize, talk about the value of the organic and having a holistic approach with relevancy, probably improving the CTR, CVR, and not
Yeah.
just like focusing on driving impressions or unnecessary traffic. You
Or
also
just
mentioned
looking
about
at ACOS to the exclusion of
exactly,
everything else, which is
exactly.
definitely the death. If you ever come to a consultant or an agency that only looks at one metric, and that one metric is ACOS, sure, they might get you a really good sales at first, or they might have some keywords that are really efficient, but you should run away quickly, because you'll start to figure out that they're not balancing other things and taking account of what matters long term. ACOS can be a very short term focus metric. So it's very rare that I would go to someone and say, look at the low ACOS we can get you. It's more like, Well, let's take a look at these three big metrics and the picture of the business overall, and let's zoom out from there. You have this much money going to Amazon, this much going into Meta. Okay, cool. What can we do with the Amazon side? That's our charge. That's our remit.